Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks with me, Katy Schweiger. This is not just another podcast. This is your girls' chat for business women. I'm going to speak to women in business, and we're not just going to have a normal conversation. We're speaking about what it really takes to build a business, to scale a business, why we are doing business, and what are the real challenges. What are the things no one actually talks out loud? What are the things which are holding us back? And what are the things which are really driving us to do what we're doing? So I believe running a business as a woman isn't harder, but it is different. So it's time we actually start talking about it. Let's get into it. Today at the Unshakeable Talks, I'm talking to Kirsty Mason. And Kirsty is a certified identity coach for high vibe women, and she is teaching them to become the main character within their business. This episode really challenged some beliefs I had. Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks, Kirsty. I love having you. So let's start with a cheers. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for having me. Oh, lovely.
Lovely, isn't it? Best way to start the day.
Definitely.
I want to dive in straight away with you because we recently met. So I don't know much about you, which I find quite interesting. But when we had a chat before this recording, you have an incredibly interesting story because you're actually a trained sign language. You used to do 16 years of sign language, didn't you?
Yes, sign language interpreter, yes.
Yeah. And the reason why I find this really interesting is because it is a profession and a job where you almost like being kept quiet.
Yeah.
So how did that shape you within your life and within the decision making of doing what you're doing now, being an identity coach?
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. It was really interesting. So when I started my self-development journey about 4 years ago, you dig into all of the things that you've been through, you look back in your past, and I realised that I had kept myself quiet, like in so many parts of my life. And I realised that I had taken on a career that had kept me in the shadows. So with interpreting, you only facilitate communication between deaf and hearing people. You can't give your opinions, you can't give your ideas, your thoughts. So you are pretty much silenced. Mm-hmm. And when I kind of then went back into my past, into my childhood, it completely hit the nail on the head of one of the beliefs I held, which was that I wasn't important enough to be heard. Mm-hmm. So I found it so interesting. I was like, I've gone into a job that has just continued to silence me. Then I looked at myself and I thought, I'm not somebody that will say how I feel. So if, like with a partner, I would always be the one that would go, okay, and then be really pissed off afterwards, But yeah, it was just really interesting how that had kind of come out in this career. And once I realised that, I was like, well, this doesn't align with me anymore. Now I want to start using my voice, which is why I then became a coach.
And what was that point where you actually started your self-development journey and figured this one out? Because to me, it sounds like you subconsciously chosen this path of career, obviously for whatever happened within your past. But what was the turning point where you actually decided, okay, something doesn't feel quite right here. Let me kind of investigate, or let me go on this journey and figure out why I feel the way I feel.
Yeah. So I was a party animal in my 20s, like seriously, going out, getting drunk, doing things I shouldn't be doing. And when I got to a point where I had my 2 children, but I still had this urge to just go and have complete blowouts all the time. Like it's like this, I would have this build up of being a mum, emotions, everything else. It's like, right, I've just got to go out and get absolutely wasted for the night, and just then I would obviously feel guilty the next day because I was hungover. But it kind of like, my husband calls it a valve release. It's like I kind of get to this point where it just has to go shh, and then I'm okay again. And I just thought, I can't be doing this anymore. I've got 2 kids, like, what's going on for me? Like, why do I still feel this need to like really let my hair down, but not in a way where it's appropriate for a mum with 2 children?
Well, what is appropriate for a mum of 2 children? That's a whole different other subject,
I know,
isn't it?
that is, totally. And also, I carried a lot, if I'm honest, and I'm happy to talk about this because I know sometimes people don't want to, but my parents split up when I was 8, and at 32 years old, I was still carrying the resentment from that. Not because they separated, but the emotional shit that happened in that. that was the catalyst, I think, to what my behaviour was. And so I just thought, I'm 32, I've got 2 kids, like I'm still finding that I can't manage the emotions of like what happened when my parents were splitting up. I've got to do something about it. I can't, it's just ridiculous. So I was putting the washing away in my daughter's room one day and I listened to a podcast for the first time. I'd never listened to one before. I love the law of attraction. So I just put into Google, into Apple Podcasts, law of attraction, and something came up. And I listened to this podcast and that's what started my self-development journey. And I've never looked back. It's completely changed my life.
So a lot of people would buy the books, listen to the podcast and do all of those things. But what was actually the first tangible thing which really made a difference to you done?
So the first thing I worked on was my money mindset. I had a crazy relationship with money. So I moved to Cyprus for 18 months. I'd wanted to do something different in my life and it was fantastic. Came back 23 grand in debt. And I came back and I was like, how the hell am I going to get out of this? And I had a really bad relationship with money. So I would save money, but I would have credit cards, overdrafts, loans, and it was just really imbalanced. And once I started to work on my money mindset, other things sort of came up for me. I paid off my overdraft, I paid off my credit card, I paid off my loan. But not only that, but I earned £23,000 more in that tax year because I worked on my money mindset. And I was like, shit, this works.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything differently in my business. I just worked on my money and my relationship with money and my money mindset. And I was like, okay, this is where actually a lot of the stuff that we experience is mindset.
Yeah.
So that's when it took me down this massive rabbit hole.
It all starts with mindset, isn't it? It's all about how we think and feel about a certain thing, or
100%.
most importantly about ourselves and what we deserve or what we should be kind of doing. But when was the point you actually made the change in terms of giving up your career as a language interpreter and starting your coaching business? Because you are very new within the coaching industry, and I say this because you told me I can say this, and I find this really inspiring because a lot of women actually don't take that step they want to take or they know they need to take when we hit a certain age bracket.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you hit like your 40s, that's the best time. But
I agree.
Yeah. But what was the turning point for me? I think it was just to a point where I was like, I'm just not happy in my career. It doesn't align with me. Once I worked on being confident with using my own voice, stop being hidden away. When I went through all of this self-development for probably about 3 years, so I only launched my coaching business last year.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? The amount of work that I've done on myself in the last 3 years is insane. To go from how I felt about myself, which I realise now I fucking hated myself. I was sabotaging myself. I really wasn't looking after me. To go through that journey and then to come out the other side and be how I am now, I was like, I want to teach women to do the same. Because I'm very much a people person. I love to help people. It's always been in me. I'm a Gemini. I love to communicate. And I just think the thought of women being at home and having these amazing ideas and things that they want to do, but they're telling themselves that they can't, and they are struggling with beliefs that I used to have, just makes me feel really sad. So I'm just on this mission to just support women, to be like, anything is possible. You literally can do anything.
Yeah.
Work on the mindset. The strategy stuff, it's not that. Work on the mindset first and you can just be anybody.
See, I'm going to have to throw something back at you there because I'm a little bit on the fence when it comes to mindset. Yes, mindset, in my opinion, is extremely important and it's almost like a foundation pillar of what you're doing. But I struggle with the whole concept within the industry, specifically online, that everyone barks on about just mindset. Just have a good mindset. Just journal every morning. Be grateful every evening. And yes, that is definitely part of it. I do those things. But that doesn't move the needle alone. I think it's a good starting point. But I think we're running the risk of almost a false promising change to people. Because the way I see it is most of the times, and it was the same for you, it was the same for me, when we embark on this journey of self-development, it usually comes from a great point of pain.
Yeah.
It comes from a dissatisfaction or whatever it is. It's usually a point of pain. And then clinging to just this one thing of mindset can be quite dangerous, can it? Because this alone won't give you the results you actually need or you're desiring to have.
Yeah.
So what would you say back to me?
What I would say is that what you have been consuming is surface level mindset work. Mm-hmm. So surface level mindset information.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be grateful if you're going for a shit time in your life. You know,
Correct,
you're just basically writing empty words. Mm-hmm. And I get that. Journaling is great. Journaling doesn't suit everybody, but it's so much deeper than that. But it's not just with the subconscious mind that you work on. It's using the nervous system as well, which is what I use, which is what I teach. There's so much more to it. But what we see online is this really sort of surface level. But you know, like the iceberg analogy.
Yes, yes.
Mindset goes all the way down,
but
people only go to the surface. They only do, as you say, the basic stuff.
Why do you think that is?
Because not a lot of people teach the real deep stuff. Mm-hmm. And as you say, I think some people get so drawn into that, I can be made to feel better. You know, this can change about my life. So let's journal. Let's do affirmations. Let's look in the mirror and say, I am powerful. I am a great person, whatever. It doesn't work. If you are carrying a belief that you have carried for your whole life, that's not going to work. There's so much, there's many more layers that you need to go through. And it's not only working with the mind, as I said, it's working with the body, the nervous system. And this is the mistake people make. And I get so many clients come to me, they'll go, I've been doing mindset work for so many years. I can't, why am I not hitting, why am I at my income ceiling? Why am I not going any further? It's like, have you done the nervous system alongside the mindset? No. Well, that's why.
I always say, this whole, everyone thrives to have a certain income. But if you want to talk about money, and online especially, it's like we want to hit this 10K month, 50K month, or whatever that number is. And even though it's part of my teaching, I must admit, because you're consuming it all the time when you're online, specifically when you're working online, I'm not immune of sometimes having doubt within myself or actually having to go through that period where I thought, bloody hell, how is she making 50K a month? And I'm like working like a dog here. I'm doing all the things. I've got 20 plus years of experience within business and I still can't get to this point. What the hell am I missing? What is it? Am I not journaling enough? Am I not doing this enough? Is my strategy off? So I think we're not immune of this, but what has to change for us women? Because I think women are specifically receptive of like the things we think we should be doing or the things we feel other people think about us, and therefore we have to kind of mute ourselves or change and adapt and be palatable. So what has to change? Like if I would be your client and would tell you, I know what to do, but I really struggle with like that self-belief, what would you tell? What would be the first thing we would start working on?
So you can only earn as much as your nervous system can hold. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So firstly, to answer the first part of that question, it really pisses me off, this whole 10K months, hit 5K months, for two reasons. Firstly, success means something different to everybody. Some people might be happy in only 2K a month.
Absolutely, yeah.
But because there's this 5K, 10K, it's this pressure that you're like, I need to earn more. Mm-hmm. So now I'm not good enough. And as you rightly said, I can't hit that. So it's making you feel like shit. Secondly, they're not making 10K. How much have they actually had to spend out for that?
Amen.
Their profit might be 1K. So you're not. And this is what really annoys me about Instagram and, the other platforms as well. It's like people are wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. They want to come across like, they're really successful. Let's be fucking open, because people like me and you who, for me, I'm at the beginning of my business. I want people to be open and be like, do you know what? I've spent 10K this month, but actually I only made like a minus, I'm minus one. I actually had a conversation with a lady a while ago. She's somebody that I kind of met on the scene, and she's just hit 100K in her business. Mm-hmm. And I saw her and we were chatting. She was like, I've just had to take an 8K loan out. So
that's quite powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the reality of things.
But say it. Be open and honest, because I think with this whole, like, you know, trying to look like we are these massively successful people, it's making people feel shit at the same time. Let's be honest. You might have had a 10K launch, but you spent 11K to make it happen. Let's just be honest about that. Why are we not?
Yeah.
Because we're supporting each other. You know, we're there. For me, I'm so supportive. Like, I want to show, and I'm very honest on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I want to show people like what works and what doesn't, and I want people to be validated from that as well.
Yeah. So really the responsibility almost lies in each and every one of us.
100%.
Because we are the ones who are putting out that content. I never really speak about money on my Instagram for that particular reason.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more than just a carousel post, isn't it? It's so much more behind it. So I choose not to talk about money on my Instagram, really. But I also understand how business works extremely well. So I know that a lot of the times when they put it out there, this is actually not what's happening. And it's so dangerous for women who... which I work a lot with, women who want to start a business, want to leave their 9 to 5 and want to start a business. It becomes so overwhelming, this pressure, and so unattainable as well.
Yeah.
It's just unrealistic. So that's really the reason why I don't like to talk about money. But I think the point you said about success is a really, really good one, because I've been recently asked at the networking event we both attended what success means to me. And I knew exactly what that lady wanted. She wanted me to throw out a number, a financial success. And my answer to this was, for me, success means the freedom of choice.
Yeah.
That is what, for me, success means. That may look completely different for you or for anyone else listening to this episode. But I also know that you are extremely passionate about the generational conditioning and stuff of girls, because you have 2 little girls. So I would really like you to talk about this a little bit, because I find this actually really inspiring. And I feel we don't really speak about this enough. What us as women and mothers really motivates us, why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. So I've got an 8 and a 5-year-old, and I believe that one of my purposes on this earth is to be a generational chain breaker, because I believe, you know, we can take what we can take. The universe only gives us what we can take. And I believe that my experience has got me to this point where I know that I have to make a change for the future. Yeah. So it's all about self-belief. So, for example, the not important enough to be heard. You know, when you were younger, be quiet. Just go over there. Go on, go in your bedroom. I don't say that to my children as much. I mean, I'm not 100% perfect. Don't get me wrong.
You do want them to go to the bedroom sometimes.
Of course. I'm like, will you just fuck off for a minute? But it's more thinking of the language, the way that you speak to them. It's like, you know, indoor voice. And it's just, you know, maybe just a little bit quieter. You just have to think about how you speak to them, because, you know, if you're like, be quiet, what's happening is you're just going to be creating another version of me.
Yeah.
And I know it's not easy. When you're a mum and you get these moments and it's really stressful, you know, we're not 100% perfect, but we have to think about the way that we speak to our children, the way that we role model to our children. So I grew up in a family, they're all housewives.
Yeah.
And myself and my cousin, we're the first women with careers. And I say to the girls, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be. Yeah. There's no limits. I will support you. And I want them to know that there isn't any limits. And we do put limitations on ourselves because of what we've experienced as children. You know, we have that belief where we can't do what we want to do because, you know, we've been told, you know, there's not enough money, or we haven't got enough money for this. I don't talk about money in front of the children. You know, I say things are expensive. I make them aware, but I don't say we haven't got enough, because I'm teaching lack.
I did exactly the same raising my daughter, and she's 23 now. We've never spoken about money in a way of like saying X amount of money comes into the household, this is what things cost. We obviously in the contents of this is too expensive, or obviously I taught her budgeting. That was always kind of I was really set on this to make her understand how money works and how you can make it work best for you. And I think I've done a really good job in this. But she still has got no Scooby-Dooby what our monthly outgoings are. And that can be, I think it's a really, really good thing. But now when they're older, it can also be quite a shock to them when they then actually realize what things cost.
Yes.
So I think there's about a balance to be struck here, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, you don't want to go down the whole scarcity thing and be like, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. But also you need to be realistic when they want to go online and, constantly buy all these things. It's like there needs to be a balance.
Absolutely.
But it's teaching, I sometimes say, well, if you do want to, let's do a couple of things at home and I'll give you some money.
Yeah, love that.
Again, I don't think you should just give children money, because that's not how it is in life. You do have to earn. At 14, I had a job and I was saving up for my driving lessons.
So did I. I used to do paper rounds. And so did my daughter, actually. She was qualified as a swimming instructor at the age of 14.
Amazing.
She didn't have to work. She got a little bit of pocket money. But I said to her, if you want more money, you're going to have to get a job.
Yeah. And I just think all of these things, there was a lot of lack around money. And so I grew up with really bad issues with money, as I've obviously already said. And I don't want the kids to do that. And I also feel like I want to be a really good role model. I want to show not only other women, but I want to show my kids that anything is possible.
Yeah.
You can have all these thoughts about yourself. You can have a lack of confidence. You can feel however you feel about yourself, but you can do the work to get to whatever point you want to be. Who you are now isn't who you need to stay, who you need to be forever. You can change.
And I think this is a really, really important thing. And our generation is quite stuck in this. The conditioning we had for our childhood and adolescence.
Yeah.
I feel like our generation of women, we are the ones who are starting to unpack this. And when I look at my daughter's generation, there are already the ones who are not really taking conditioning on like this. So tell me about the women you work with, because you have created this amazing program, the Main Character Shift. Tell me about this.
So, the Main Character Shift is teaching women to become the main character in their business. So I focus around money and visibility. Now, if you don't work on your money mindset, you're going to hit an income ceiling and you're not going to get any further. Yeah. You're also going to hold yourself back. So I hear so many times women go, I've got the most amazing ideas in my notebook. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do to execute them? Oh, nothing. Or, when you get a really good idea and you run with it, and then you get to a point where you're going to start launching it, or, things start to get a little bit deeper and you pull yourself
back. And expensive.
And you've got to invest money and time. You pull back. So you're always going to do this, and you'll do this with the visibility. So a lot of women that I support, they have businesses, really good businesses, but they're not getting the clients in that they need. They get them more from referrals or, word of mouth. So they know, okay, I need to get on social media because it's a free platform. I know everyone has a love-hate relationship with it, but it's a free platform and it reaches millions of people. But they don't want to go behind the camera. It's all this fear of judgment is the biggest thing.
But you struggled with this though, don't you? Because if I remember correctly, it took you 2 years for the first time to show up on Instagram.
It did. It took me 2 years, literally. I wanted to set up an account. And I just couldn't do it. I would pick up my phone and I couldn't even do it because I was worried. This is actually mental. It's not mental because I don't want to discredit anyone that is experiencing this at the moment. But my fear was there was 2 girls that I went to school with. They were not the nice girls. Yeah. My fear was that they would see me on my Instagram and think I was a dick. I haven't seen them for 25 years. But I was giving all of my power to these 2 girls for over 2 years. And once I did the inner work and I kind of came out the other side, I was like, what am I doing? But then what was my reframe was that actually what I post on social media might help them. And that's when it changed for me.
Do you know what? I think a lot of us have a story like this. Let me ask you, because I can relate to this. I think it took me half a day to record my first 10 or 20 second story I put on Instagram. And I remember it to the day. I was sitting outside in the garden in front of my laptop and re-recording. My hair wasn't right. The sunglasses weren't clean. I stumbled over my words. There was always something. And I was afraid of people who know me, from my daughter's school or from like back in the days when I was in school and judge me. But what I did, and I hold my hands up for this, to kind of counteract this, I actually went on a journey of looking them up and thinking, well, you haven't done that well in life, so it can't be that bad if I show up now online. So I actually had to remind myself, and not in a nasty or bitchy way, I just had to remind myself, actually, I've come quite a long way. How my life is right now is actually great.
Yeah. And
that made me kind of show up. Obviously, nowadays it's so much easier for me. I mean, I don't really give a flying monkey nowadays. I mean, you see me with my giraffe headband and everything on Instagram nowadays. But I feel like it becomes so much easier even on the bad days if you do it more often.
Yeah, definitely.
But it definitely was a struggle, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think as well, when you're at a level that we're at, and this is what I've noticed, when you're at a level that we're at, we are doing a lot more than most people are doing.
Yeah.
Like in the world that we're in, things like going on podcasts, going to networking events, standing on stages and giving talks, that's actually normal. But for me, when I kind of think of like the school mums, I'm like, if they actually knew that I had a podcast, that I went and talked on stages, they'd be like, oh my God, like, you're famous.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm not. I'm just normal. But it's the people that you mix with. You grow with them. So we've got to a point where talking on Instagram every single day is finally become normal.
Yeah.
But it actually isn't to everybody else. So kind of having that mindset, I suppose, has been helpful to kind of think, well, actually, yeah, I'm doing way more than everybody else.
But what also becomes important is who you surround yourself with.
Oh,
and
definitely.
this is like everything I stand for, and what I'm so passionate about is that we women need to start creating our business bestie circles.
Yeah.
Because none of our mummy friends or old friends can actually relate to the journey we're having. So, and therefore, the expectations we're putting on them is completely wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why we are disappointed all the time. We can't get the support, the understanding, the cheering on, or whatever we are seeking at that very moment from those people, because they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't lay awake at night at 2 a.m. and kind of festiving over this one little decision we have to make. They just don't get it, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But actually coming to this point and realizing this is a bit of a journey. And most of us, because we're so hung up in kind of trying to please people, trying to get the validation from the people around us, missing that point and missing the pace where it's actually so liberating to surround yourself with other women and not seeing them as a threat or as a competition or as, I don't know, someone who does something similar to me, and actually seeing them as someone who gets me.
Yeah.
Do you have that circle of women around you?
Yeah, I do. I dip in and out of like different circles as well, because I think it's nice to experience different people. But I feel sometimes I've got two different identities. I'm like in this identity, which I absolutely love. And then I kind of go to like old friends and the school mums, and I kind of fall into somebody completely different, somebody that I used to be.
Yeah.
And it's really tricky, because I think when you grow and you expand as much as like we have, and obviously we're both going to go even further in our lives, you do outgrow people, and it's so hard, that transition period where you know, you've known them for so long, but yet you don't align with them anymore. And it's kind of like the guilt that you want the friendship, but actually we've got nothing in common anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really hard place to be.
Do you struggle with this a lot? Because I don't anymore. And that may sound extremely harsh, but and I can't actually pinpoint when it started that I don't struggle with this anymore. I think it's definitely to do with that I'm incredibly happy with myself and with the life I'm creating, and everything I do is because I want to create a life which suits me rather than what I think I should be doing. So I don't get me wrong, I had to kind of part ways with a friend last year, at the beginning of last year. Yeah, it stung a little bit, but I don't hold resentment. I don't really fester over it. It just happened, because, like you said, we weren't aligned anymore. My values and my standards are extremely high. So as soon as that doesn't match anymore, I do tend to step away in a nice way.
Yeah.
But I would assume for you, it's maybe a little bit more difficult because your children are also younger.
Yeah.
Because when Robin was young, I struggled with this massively.
I think I've now got to the point where I have two different hats. I'm like, this hat, which is the hat that I love, but also I've got like a smaller group of friends, like, you know, my mum friends and my old friends. And that circle has definitely got smaller, but I'm okay with that.
Good.
They're like my, you know, my ride or dies. But then obviously then I'm growing this brand new community and group of friends now that are the ones that light me up in like a very different way, that I learn from, that I really feel that I can be myself with, and expand and have more of an impact. It's a completely different feeling than, you know, my sort of like close friends are the ones that we just get drunk on Prosecco on a Friday after
and you need
school.
them though, you do, don't you?
Yes.
You can't just be in the world of work and mummy.
Yeah.
You need that outlet. And like you said earlier, you sabotaged yourself big time back in the days because you overindulged into this part. But actually finding a balance is exactly what we need. We're not just Kirsty, who is a businesswoman. You're not just Kirsty, who is a mum. You're Kirsty as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for women to learn.
It is. But we do wear these labels, don't we? Like, we're a wife, we're a mum, we're a businesswoman. And I think along the way, you do lose yourself and you need to work out, who am I? Especially when you transition into this world of like entrepreneurship, and I love it. It's like an amazing world to be in. But you go through this like, gosh, who am I? But I kind of feel like I've got that good balance now. But I definitely did struggle just working out who I was, where I fitted as well, because I felt like I didn't fit anywhere.
Yeah.
But you need to also just be you. But it's hard, as you say, when you're thinking about your business at 2 a.m. and then you've got the kids and, you know, you've got your wife as well. It's like there's very little time just for us.
I really had to come to terms with internally, and that was just me. I always thought it's society or it's what's being put on me, but I really had to terms with it's my own limitations I put on myself. Yeah. I thought for the longest time ever that I can't be like the traditional wife and the traditional mummy, because I really enjoy that part and love the hustle at the same time. So that was my internal struggle I really had to come to terms with. And I actually think those labels you just mentioned, I see them as a compliment. I love being called a wife. I love being called a mum. And I love when people say, oh, you're baking bread. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm baking bread. I love baking bread. It's not always good, but I love baking bread. But I also love the hustle. And I love that I am actually able to do all of it.
Yeah. No, exactly. You know, everybody, again, that's your nervous system imprint. It's how much you can manage. Some people can't manage it all.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, when you've got really young children and trying to like look after them in the school holidays, like we've just come off the back of a holiday, you've got that. It's just really difficult to be a mum, be a present mum, have the business, because I know a lot of people don't talk about this, but for me, this is my experience, and I know so many women are going to agree with this. My business gives me something that my children can't.
Absolutely.
And I felt guilty about that once, but I don't now, because it's just how it is. I love my kids, but, you know, they're 8 and 5. And, you know, I'm at the stage where they can't even get their own drink. You know, I'm having to do everything for them. You get no thanks for it.
Yeah.
You don't get anything.
No.
So actually, when you go into business and you're meeting all these incredible women, and women are saying to you, oh my God, what you said the other day, like, really helped me think about this. And, you know, you're doing all these things. It's like, it's just so, I can't explain the feeling. It's just amazing. It feels so good. It makes you feel validated. It makes you feel happy.
Absolutely.
But you're kind of sometimes in the trenches as a mum when they're young, and you just think, oh, I just can't. It's not very comparable at the moment.
I had this conversation actually, I think yesterday with someone, yesterday or the day before, and we were speaking exactly about this. She has 2 small children, and she said, I don't really feel like a lot of people understand what I'm going through when it's a school holiday time, because she's extremely attentive to her business and to her clients and everything outside of the school holiday times. But this time at the Easter holidays, she really struggled to show up for herself. She signed up to a program. She wanted to develop her knowing further. She signed up to this program and she just couldn't time-wise put like the effort in it needed. And she felt really guilty for this. And I said to her, but I think the way we have to look at this is there is a season for everything. Like she wanted to achieve like this enormous goal for her business, but right now it's absolutely not possible for her because of her children being so young. It's nothing to do with like that she isn't capable of doing this. It's just not the right season. She hasn't got the capacity to actually do what needs to be done to get to that stage where she wanted to get to. And we had a really long conversation about this. And she said, yeah, actually, you're absolutely right. And I think we need to look at our lives as women more in seasons.
100% agree. 100% agree. And that's exactly what I do. I think we have seasons. We have with our children. We have seasons then obviously pre-children. And there's so much you can do and you can't do. But I think with that, sometimes women grieve that they can't do all the things that they want to do because they also have the children. I think also it brings up a lot of resentment with partners sometimes because with the men, they're like, they just bugger off out the door and go to work and come back at 6 with no regard of like childcare or anything else. And what I've actually noticed, I've obviously spoken to quite a lot of women, there's this kind of shift where women are outgrowing their partners.
Yes, becomes a really big problem actually.
Yeah, so I'm really noticing that where they're growing, they're working on themselves, they're feeling differently, but their husband is staying where he is, which is fine because he's not doing the inner work, but they're not growing together, they're growing apart.
Why do you think that is though? Because my husband and I had many, many, many conversations, but we've been together married 25 years this year, so we had a long journey together. And throughout that journey, obviously, there were times, especially in the beginning of my business, where I felt exactly like this, where I felt like it's so easy for you. You put your suit on in the morning, you go out to work, you get out of the house, you're not in the trenches of like being a parent all day long while also trying to build a business. I had quite a lot of resentment around that my job was always, that's how I felt at the time, seen as a hobby rather than as actually I'm working hard.
Yeah.
But actually nowadays I can really comfortably say that it had never anything to do really with my husband. It always had everything to do with myself and how I saw myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the times the case with women. I know no one wants to hear this and it's maybe quite controversial, but there are obviously relationships where it's definitely to do with your husband, no question. But I think 80% of the times it's us.
Yeah. And you actually said something really interesting at the beginning. You said, I communicated with my husband. And I think that is one of the things that women don't do.
Yeah.
I know I can be quite guilty of that as well. Like I don't tell my husband everything that I'm doing. But if you actually share your journey with your husband, then they're going to be on it with you.
Yeah.
You know, all they do is they see that you want to go off to a networking event or that they've gone to work and come home and you've been at home for 6 hours and like the washing hasn't been done, but you've been working from home.
Yeah.
And it's like, what have you done in that 6 hours?
Yeah.
Communicate. That's what people have got to start doing is just telling them. But also I think, again, this is part of the generational chain breaking, is that if we show our girls and our boys as well that relationships now are 50-50. You know, the childcare isn't just all on mum.
Yeah.
Organising the school admin isn't just on mum. We work together.
Yeah.
Then that's how it's going to change for the future as well. But yeah, I think there's a shift, but there still needs to be more work that needs to be done. But it's just communication, and people don't communicate enough.
No, communication is the key pillar of everything. It's it's one of my main pillars of teaching because of this reason exactly. We're missing this huge piece of communication in every aspect of our lives, and I think this is the biggest downfall of most of the things.
Yeah, and I think as well, I was just going to say, is that in terms of communication, I know sometimes like a woman wants to talk to their husband at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. this has happened in my day, and they're going to get or they're on their phone and they're not listening. So as you say, on them, the women are going to go, well, they're not interested in me. It's like, and I get that because I've done the same. But actually, we forget he's been at work for 12 hours. He probably doesn't want to hear. So this is where things like having date nights or date days are so important, where you're away from the children, or you just go and do something you two, and you spend that time saying, this is what's going on in my business, or, what's going on for you, because you do get in that mode of like just doing when you've got young children, and the communication is very important. And there are some times where it's not the right time to talk because you're just shattered. Yeah. But don't, as you say, don't put that on you that you're not doing very well, or that he's not supportive. Of course he is.
He just doesn't have the capacity right now in this very moment to be as supportive as you like him to be. It's as simple as that. Obviously, if that would be continuous, that's a different story. But most of the time, it's as simple as that. Yeah. I mean, I could talk to you for ages, but I would like to end this episode with 5 fire questions.
Okay.
So I prepared a few questions.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so honest, truthful answers. So you help women step into their main character era. But is there a part of you that thinks some women are actually using identity work and self-development as a way to avoid just getting on with it? Is the coaching world sometimes just really expensive therapy for people who won't do the actions?
Oh, I like this question. I think sometimes people, they say they want to do something, but they don't.
Yeah.
But I believe the reason that they don't is because of their capacity, but also their belief system about themselves, their lack of self-worth. So I think if you're going to start going into like doing all these things, you've really got to do the stuff on yourself first.
Yeah.
It's really the self-worth work.
Right. Next question. You were literally trained to be invisible as a sign language interpreter. Do you ever worry that the version of you that shows up online is still performing, just in a different costume?
Yes, I do sometimes. I think there's always work to do on ourselves. And although I teach being visible online, I do hold myself back sometimes too.
That's really being really honest. I think we're all guilty of this.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to change this is to be more open about this.
Definitely.
Because the more we admit it, the more people see, oh, actually, it's normal. I don't have to be so performative.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay to teach something, but also not fully embody it yourself sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, next question. Loving that. You talk about breaking generational patterns for your daughter, but are we putting too much pressure on mothers to be one who fixes the family trauma?
Yes, definitely. I think we have put ourselves under that pressure because also, the whole breaking the generational chain is talked about quite a lot. And some people have the ability and the capacity to break the chain. Some people don't. And I think they're going to feel under pressure that they should be doing something different.
But is there actually a way around this? Because I don't actually think there is. Because there's pressure is something we all go through. We all are experiencing within life in different shapes and form. And if we don't try to break those generational conditioning, then nothing good is going to come out of it either.
Yeah. I would just say support each other,
It's about a catch-22 though, isn't it? It needs some of us to actually do that work.
Yeah. And, it's not everybody isn't going to do it. Not everybody's capable. Not everybody knows about it. But, one person creates a ripple effect. That ripple effect then passes on to somebody else. So, yeah, you only need a few people to start making the change.
True. So you obviously talked about that you had a huge journey of self-development and healed quite a lot of parts of yourself from before. So the next question touches up on this. So do you think we can ever be fully healed? And if so, how do you ever recognize that moment when you get there?
I don't think we could ever be fully healed at all. New level, new devil. So you'll heal something, you'll expose yourself.
Yeah.
and then something will come up again. But what I do believe is that if you continue to do the work, you can work through it quicker. But no, you will never be healed. Sorry.
No, don't be, because that's exactly the point. It's like self-development doesn't just end after you finished a 30-day manifestation challenge or therapy or anything, whatever you're embarking on. It is a continuous struggle, and new level, new devil is exactly what it comes down to, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. But you can, you do achieve goals. So you when I look back, I stood on a stage last month in front of 100 women. I've only been talking on stage not even a year. The first one was at a networking event in front of like 15 people. So you can grow.
Yeah.
And I've healed certain parts of like my voice isn't important enough to be heard, to be able to stand on a stage in front of 100 people. But that's going to come up again when I go on another stage to more people. But it's just the fact that now I know what work to do on myself, and I know how to get to the point where I feel confident to go and stand on that bigger stage.
So I always end every episode with one question. I would like to extend that question to you as well. If you could go back and give younger Kirsty one brutally honest piece of advice, what would that be?
It would be, just fucking do it. And I know, again, it's hard, but so often, when you action something, when you do something, you prove to yourself that it's possible. We in our head so often we say we can't do this. I want to do this. I've got this dream, but I can't. Just fucking do it, because once you've done it, you're going to feel amazing, and then you're going to do it again and again.
And also, what's the worst what can happen?
Exactly. It's the fear of judgment, again, that pops up. But what's the worst that can happen? It might not be your expectations, or you may not get as many people sign up, or, not many people come to your event, whatever. Do it, learn from it, do it again, and keep doing it.
Thank you for coming on the Unshakeable Talks, Kirsty.
Thank you for having me. I've loved talking to you today.
Thank you for listening to the Unshakeable Talks. Please make sure to give us a follow and come back next week for another great conversation with another amazing woman. But I also want you to come to my event I'm hosting very soon. If you like listening to my episodes, if you like meeting the women I'm putting on the Unshakeable Talks, you will absolutely love my event, because you're actually going to be in the room with the women from the podcast or women who do similar things. Tickets are only £10 and everything goes to charity. A charity I've chosen because it aligns fully with the values of the Unshakeable Talks and with myself. The link is in the show notes. Get your ticket now.